Hey, what's up, guys? Frugal BC here today. I have a special crypto talk for us today. This is the first time interviewing anybody with an actual crypto project, so I think this is pretty cool. I have with me James, or as he's known as Mr. Blue Sky on Twitter, and I don't know, maybe everywhere else too. I don't. Well, anyway,
That's my name.
James is the community manager for Akita Inu, which is a ASA token on Algorand. And you guys saw the video I made earlier. I initially screwed it up and conflated the ASA version with the Ethereum version. There are two Akita Inu tokens, and not I always want to, if I make a mistake, I always want to own it. So I quickly reshot the video. I think I did some creative overdubs, and then of course I acknowledged the mistake in my description, so there was no confusion. But since then, I've kind of looked into it more, and I think it's pretty interesting. So James, I guess a great way to start off with is how does like a project like this get conceived, and then what do you got to do to get something like this off the ground?
So conceptually, this project was Akita, who made the creator, just wanted to make something where he could kind of gather donations for dogs, have a little bit of a community that he builds up, and see how he can help Algorand just in general. And we didn't have an exact idea of the first day or two of how we were going to do that. Through the first week, we started trying to reach out to different ASAs, really helping in any way that we could, whether it was like getting the word out, helping them kind of figure out what it is that they wanted to do, and then making it so that they could move forward. That was a big part of our success for the first week or two, was essentially just trying to network and connect to anybody that needed help in the Algorand world. So whether it was somebody that was just learning how to buy on Tiny Man, or somebody that wanted to make an ASA and needed to know what it took to succeed, helping those people for the first really week or two are the main reason that we had the success that we did. Once we started that kind of role in the community, I just started making memes while I wasn't helping people, and those got shared, and all of a sudden we got huge. So all the people that we helped the first week or two shared all the memes, and all of a sudden you have what it is now. What is Akita?
Well, I mean, how do you even start a coin? Like that's what kind of baffles me. And I've never had really a chance to ask someone in the space that before. So I'm like, I don't even know how you would start something like that. I mean, I know there's a white paper and you have to conceive of like sort of make the concept, so to speak, but.
So the actual creation of an ASA on Algorand is super easy. Just anybody can make a little coin in ASA. It's really easy to mint them. I think that the next step is where people start to have the difficulty, right? Because you can't just make a coin, can't just make a token. You need to have a purpose for it. And this is something that I try to talk to a lot of the new ASA people about, is that saying you want to be a community coin is fine, but you have to have actions behind it. And you can't get big and then have actions. I think that a lot of people want to make their coin and then they want to find out what it is that they want to do. And the biggest thing that I could have as far as a piece of advice is lay your groundwork first. Figure out where your niche is, what it is that you want to accomplish. Even if it's for the community, if you do want to be another community coin, figure out what your niche is within the community. What are you really helping people accomplish? And I feel like as long as a coin can stay focused on its original goal while still growing and being receptive to ways to move forward and add another thing that they do to the repertoire, they'll have success.
Yeah. Well, and I think the why I like the why that you guys have, the idea is to support dog shelters. Can you kind of touch on how that came about, and also like what that's going to look like from a practical standpoint?
Okay. Well, Akita loves dogs. That's the basics of it. I think a lot of the people the first week, we joined specifically because we just wanted a way to help dogs. Once we figured out how knowledgeable the people, I guess, at the core of the group were, it went from just helping dogs and just kind of helping as we can to what is the expertise that we can give to everybody, right? As far as like how the charities and everything lay out, we donate directly to the separate charities. We collect everything into, a wallet and everything like that. like right now we have our 12 or 10 dogs of Christmas instead of 10 days of Christmas. It's
Oh
10
yeah,
dogs of Christmas. And
right.
we collect all that into an Algorand wallet. As soon as the charity ends, a few more days here, they're going to just send all that to the charity. I think we are matching 50% of it goes to the charity, and then 50% of that we're matching as well to go towards the LP. So we're going to lock a little bit more LP in as a community, so the LP stays a little stronger.
Gotcha. I guess, can you kind of talk about the financial side of that? Like, how does that, how does like a coin operator make money? And maybe these seem like obvious questions, but I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that like don't really understand how that works. Like, how does the money come in that ends up going to these charities, in other words?
All the charity stuff is just direct donations. Now we
Mhm.
do have our community coin side where we're matching. We'll sell off a little bit to match whatever the charity donations end up being, some Akita from our community pool.
Okay.
But for the most part, it is just actively donated from the community. As far as monetizing the
Gotcha.
coin, that's probably one of the more advanced concepts that an ASA can try to do.
Mhm.
Our direct monetization is currently in progress. We have an NFT system that's coming out,
Mhm.
which is it's going to be a thousand of them, I think, maybe a little bit more, a little bit less. And we're going to
Yeah.
be trying to take a little bit of the profits, the proceeds from those, and moving them into like getting a legal opinion. If there's anything that we need done for top secret, which is a big part of our monetization down the line, then we're going to use the funds for that to kind of fuel up and launch our project top secret. Monetization is one of those things you can't force it with an ASA, and you
Mhm.
can't expect to make money right out of the box. I think that a good example is if you opened a company, really
Mhm.
whatever the company is, if you had profit in your first year, that's extraordinary. If you had profit in your
Yeah.
second year, that's good. By the third year, it's completely normal for a corporation, for a
Mhm.
company to have profit. And by 5 years, then they should. But I don't think if you're trying to make an ASA, if you're trying to get into the ASA game, going into it with the idea that you're going to make money immediately isn't good, and it's not
Mhm.
going to build for a successful community
Right.
if that's your motive.
So I guess, I guess I'm trying to draw the link between, so is it just that you guys believe in this? Have you said, are there some kind of metrics by which so many coins get bought and you donate a certain amount? Or I guess I'm just not understanding how that's,
So
are are
it's
they,
I'm sorry.
yeah, I mean, are they just disconnected or right now, or, yeah.
So it's just like if somebody were to donate $100 worth of Algorand, then we would take $100 worth of our Akita and donate that into the
Okay.
pool as well.
So you have a mechanism by which people who hold the token can donate.
Yeah, it's just a wallet they
Gotcha.
send to, and when they
Gotcha.
send their donations to the wallet, I don't know if
Mhm.
they do it actively. I think it's at the end of the charity run. We're just going to
Gotcha.
match whatever the amount is, and then
Mhm.
use that for charity. Yeah, we'll match 50% of the amount for charity, and 50% will be sent to the LP.
Gotcha. Do you guys have a pretty big team?
Man, about a month ago, we topped out about 80, 90 people in the dev Discord. As life goes, a lot of people didn't have the time or the commitment that they originally thought they would. I think that
Mhm.
right now we're down to about 20 or 30 people who are committed to helping Akita within the dev community and the dev Discord. I think
Mhm.
that probably 10 to 15 of those are, if not full time, pretty close to full time, trying to make
Wow.
something happen.
Wow.
Yeah, I know that 5 to 6 of us are pretty much anything we can do is just how can we help Akita succeed.
Mhm.
We had a really good first week or two together, and I think that everybody, especially the people on the core team, we all understand that we can really make something special happen here. And there's that moment in your life where you either want to keep working, keep going to the corporate job, or you want to kind of take a step to the side and try to make something special happen in your life and not just
Yeah.
be that kind of blue collar, white collar worker. And I think
Right.
a lot of people are thinking, not thinking, but knowing as long as they keep helping and pushing Akita forward, we're going to make sure we give them an option to have a different path in life.
That's awesome. So one thing I was kind of curious about from the developer side,
Yeah.
like how is working on adapt for Algorand or an ASA or any of that stuff, like how is it on Algorand versus other platforms, like as far as the programming language, like is it Is it easier than other languages, do you think, other platforms?
Yeah, I think that I don't know anything about the advanced smart contracts. Like when you start getting into like what different dApps have done on the high end side. And I'm not going to name any names, but when you start getting to more advanced programs, they have very specific things they're doing that I'm not familiar with. I know that when you start looking at like Solana and Cardano and all these guys and the way that their smart contracts work, it's definitely a lot trickier to get something to work within those ecosystems. I think that with Algorand, the onboarding is so much faster, and the ability for somebody to go from knowing very limited Python to being able to understand PyTeal, which is what they use in Algorand,
Nice.
is way faster than any of these other systems. I think that what Algorand's managed to do is create a working smart contract system that still relies on the fundamentals of Python well enough so that if somebody knows the fundamentals of really programming in general, they're going to be able to come in and make something.
Pick it up.
Yeah, and I think that's really important. I don't know, if I was trying to make something that took 3 or 4 years, I don't know how much better it is on that side, but I do know from my experience, really in the last 90 to 120 days using these different smart contracts and trying to get a better idea of them, that Algorand's definitely the best as far as getting somebody to understand the basics. Yeah.
Well, I didn't know that they use Python. That's actually the one programming language that I have some fluency in.
Yeah, it's PyTeal, but it's
like a Python library, right?
You'll recognize it. Yeah.
Is it a library? Is it a different like system within Python? Like,
I believe it would be a different system within Python. Yeah, because it still has subtle differences in the way that it does certain things. But if you use Python and you boot it up, if you got the testnet running, you started playing with it, you would definitely have that moment where you go, oh, yeah.
Oh, that's really cool. Well, it's so funny that I want people to understand, like, the reason I'm so big on Algorand. I didn't start out that way. I was interested in all these things, but I keep coming back to Algorand because everything is so user friendly on it. Most of the dApps and stuff, yeah, right, it works. Most of the dApps are user friendly. Like, you can actually you don't need a computer science degree to use them. The transaction fees, of course, that's a pretty obvious one, but I mean, how many things there's so many things that I've looked into and then I'm like, oh, it's based on Ethereum, never mind, because I know that I'm probably going to pay more in fees than whatever I need to do to do the thing, right? Like, just the fact that, and then the fact that they add just the fact that it's Python based, like, just makes me even happier. It's like, it just keeps, it's like Santa Claus that keeps coming down the chimney every day. It's like something new. I learn about it and I like it. I rarely learn something about Algorand and be like, oh, that sucks. It's always the opposite of that.
Yep. The only thing I didn't like about Algorand was that I wasn't at the cipher. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, I thought about it. I definitely thought about it. I was like, well, maybe next year the channel will be a little bigger and it might be worth it to go to Decipher.
We got made, and then I kind of figured out what my role was going to be that week. And then that week I was like, how do we get to Decipher? And the tickets were sold out. It was just like, oh man.
Yeah, I might even hire my friend to come with me and as a videographer, just to have a second camera along. But we'll see. But I'm pretty sure I'm going to go next year. Well, the other thing is, I just traveled to Miami at the end of October, so I was like, well, that's a little too much travel. I don't think I can pull that off. But
going to Miami over and over.
Yeah, I mean, it's not. I wouldn't mind. I liked it.
It's a nice city.
It is. It is. So one thing so dog coins have been sort of associated with, in general, with sort of like the meme coins, or I like the word you use, community coins. I've heard other people use that term, and I like that term, and I think there's value. People kind of dismiss them. I do think there's value to a community coin, but did you guys worry when you were starting out that maybe the fact that it featured a dog, would have anything to do with people's perceptions, that it might make them think associated with like Dogecoin or Shiba Inu, and maybe have almost negative associations because a lot of people are somewhat dismissive of those coins?
Well, we really haven't shaken off the meme coin name, honestly. We are a community coin. We focus on helping the Algorand community, and once we get big enough, we want to start helping like real world communities with our larger projects. But I don't think it's a problem, honestly. I post a lot of memes. I don't know how else to say it. Like a lot of our success is due to the fact that we accept the meme culture, right? We don't reject somebody because they post memes or whatever about Akita.
Right.
I don't think we're ever going to fully shake the meme coin name off, even when we have use cases and all these things that we complete. You know, Akita and I have even joked that we're gonna tell everyone we're not a meme coin, we're a community coin. And then like somewhere between 6 months and a year from now, there's gonna be a moment where like, okay, we've got use cases, everyone knows we help, everyone knows we're legit. Let's just call ourselves a meme coin. You know, like we've joked about that before. So we don't hate the idea of being known as a meme coin. I just think that the distinction between a meme coin and a community coin should be pretty clear. A meme coin, they might do a little bit of charity, but their focus, I think Doge is a perfect example. They don't care really about the Ethereum ecosystem, right? When they were formed and when they were building, they didn't do anything to help Ethereum's success. I think a large part of what's going to make us distinctive from these types of coins is the fact that we're not just about making Akita big. We genuinely want to help Algorand succeed in any way. If anybody ever reaches out to me, talks to me in the Discord, Reddit, anywhere, it'll become very clear, whatever project you have, whether it's the smallest thing or the biggest thing, that I just want to help you get bigger and help you find success.
Right. So on the roadmap, it says Q4 of this year. So smart contracts. Are you guys on track for that? And what's that going to look like?
We are on track for that. We've got our current smart contracts is under audit. The audit process is so slow, but it is what it is. We got quite a bit of money. So right now we might do a little bit of fundraising to get the audits paid for. We do have the smart contracts completed. I'm pretty sure, I don't have the link ready, but Peaches has the repository, the GitHub public. So if somebody wanted to go in and look at the smart contracts for the, what is it, the lock? Because that's what this is. It's a fund lock that's supposed to lock the funds for a year. You can look at all of it. We just don't want to put the funds into the lock until the audit's complete.
That makes
for
sense.
Obvious reasons. Everything's public. If somebody wants to stop by Discord and ask for the link, I'm sure it's in engineering, the Discord channel.
And then once that's live, what's that going to allow? Like, what's the smart contract going to be used for? How's that going to work?
So the main reason we want to get it audited is because we don't want to just lock our funds. We want to start building a little bit of a repository that other ASAs can use. And this being our first audited smart contract, it's going to be a nice little dive, I guess, into building this thing. We want to make it so that years down the line, somebody who is just getting into the Algorand ecosystem can come to Akita, see the different smart contracts and stuff we've made, see that it's all audited, know that these things are legit contracts, and they can just immediately plug them into their system, their whatever project they're making. And eventually, we should be able to help a lot of different smart contract, dApp, stuff like that, just get going. That would be excellent.
And then you guys got some pretty interesting stuff on your roadmap beyond that. Merch store coming soon. That should be fun.
Yeah. That should be, we're trying to do an order for seeing like how good the products are before we just, send them to people and sell people stuff. But everything we've seen so far is really good. So I think the merch store is going to happen pretty soon. I'd have to say in the next week and a half that we should release a date at least for when the merch store will be ready.
Oh, that's awesome. And then you got exchange listings listed on here now. Is that are we talking about centralized exchanges? I mean, obviously we can get it on the TinyMan DEX right now, but is it more DEXs, or are you trying to go after like Coinbase and things like that? Or
so exchanges are very expensive. It's about $20,000 for a legal opinion, and most of them want a legal opinion for the country that they're in. And all the legal opinion says is that we're not an asset, or I'm sorry, that we're not a security, that there's no guarantee of any of these things, stuff like that. It's saying we're not a stock. But at the end of the day, I do know that AlgoDex is coming. I don't know their exact release date off the top of my head, but I'm very excited to see AlgoDex kind of bring a different option for TinyMan. We're really big on TinyMan. If you guys don't know, as far as on Tiny Charts, I think we're in like the top 10 right now. It'll be nice to see once the AlgoDex opens up, kind of how everything operates on there. I'm excited for like the limit orders and the buy order, sell orders. I mean, getting a different style of exchange on the Algorand is really exciting for me. We have talked about going outside the Algorand ecosystem onto an exchange. It's just a slow process. That's really all I can say about it, is that between the costs and the time that these exchanges want to have kind of put into their process, it's going to be a little bit before we're likely on any other exchanges outside the Algorand ecosystem.
So that 20 grand you're talking about, you guys are pay 20 grand to a lawyer for them to come back and say, yep, not a security.
Yeah, and it's not even a long form. It just is what it is. They have to do their research and show like everything that they need to do depending on the country. It kind of goes back to what we were talking about earlier, though, with funding. You know, we've got to figure out our funding paths over the next 60, 90 days before we go too hard on buying these things and sending them out. We have started to apply and pretty much say on the application, hey, we can, if you guys will add us, we can get this. Like, it's not a matter of us not being able to get 20 grand, but if these guys want it from Hong Kong, these guys want it from here, and these guys here, you can't pay $100,000 to maybe get on one exchange. So we're trying to figure out and use the money the best way. And as soon as we know which exchange we can for sure get on, you're going to see us come up with 20 grand and buy ourselves onto an exchange, you know?
Nice. Yeah. And that's all pretty universal. Do they have a lot of different exchanges, have a lot of different requirements?
Yeah. Some of them are, you know, what's the name of your coin? Who's your company? Legal opinion. And some of them are like pages of stuff. Like some of these exchanges, they want to know who your top 10 holders are. And it's like, I guess I would understand if you're, you know, if you're a big coin and stuff like that, and your top 10 holders are employees or whatever, however it would work. But like for us, we don't dox our wallet holders. We don't expect our wallet holders to dox. So how are we supposed to know exactly who the top 10 are besides like our community wallet stuff?
Right.
So,
that's the whole point of decentralization, right? Like we don't actually know. I would have, in fact, I would say even the big ones do. Does anyone know who the big Bitcoin holders are? I mean, I know there's
other than that, I don't...
right. Yeah, I mean, you hear about like, I mean, I know like there's people who actively track like the biggest whales, but they don't know who they are. Like they just know.
I get DMs all the time. They're like, oh, I don't know who this one is. And it's like, stop doxing people.
Right.
Like, yeah. Like, stop. It doesn't matter. Let them buy, let them sell. They're rich people being rich. Let them have fun.
Right. So I saw now the last thing on your guys' roadmap is a gaming platform. And I was just thinking about how Algorand is the one thing it kind of doesn't have is like a pretty big gaming atmosphere. I know there's like a poker one, I think somewhere out there, but
Chips is starting.
Chips, yeah, that's right. But yeah, what tell me about the gaming platform. Is that all hush hush right now, or is it?
Yeah, making a game isn't something that happens in 30 days. And
yeah,
we've been around for about 45 days. We had a programmer who kind of realized, I think he started to mess around with gaming on the Algorand stuff and realized that this wasn't a project he was going to be able to make even in 5 or 6 months. Like, it's not easy making a game. The smart contracts can be pretty simple, but once you start having an active system or systems that interact with each other in the video game sense, it's way more complicated than making a smart contract that says move this asset over here and now it stays over there. So when you start talking about the gaming platforms, it's going to be a while before we have any big updates. To kind of give a little bit of a shout out for myself and a little bit of faith that it will come. It just might be a couple years down the line. I actually have a game studio. We released a small mobile game. So I have experience working within Unity. And once Top Secret's done in the next few months, it's very likely that me and Sweet Peach, as our lead smart contract dev, will get together and try to figure out something as far as like what we want to do exactly for our game. It's just not something that I like teasing because it's so far down the road. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man. I can't even imagine what it would be like to make a game like that. Like, you know, I like I said before, I have very limited Python experience. Mostly I can do data. I use it for data visualizations because that fits in with my day job pretty well. But Yeah, like I saw an interview with the founder of Splinterlands, and yeah, I think he said their dev team was like, God, how big? Like 80 or 90 people or something like that. Like it's pretty huge.
It's huge. Yeah, games are hard.
Hmm.
Right now, my game studio, we're making a little 2D game, and it's
Hmm.
forever for the Akitas. It's me, Gamer Heroine, and then my programmer who's Tuna, who doesn't hang out a lot in our Discord, but he's been by the Discord. Um, the three of us making a small game still takes like a half a year, maybe even a year if we decide to kind of take it to the next level. And that's a little
Right.
2D bullet hell type of game. It's nothing
Right.
crazy. Once you start
Hmm.
saying you want an interactive game where you have smart contracts and an NFT system and all these things that really would make an Algorand ecosystem game unique. Um, I would think years would be until you have a real product. Maybe if you wanted to release a cyberpunk version a year and a half,
Yeah.
but I don't know if that's what Akita wants to do. So
I have to say though, like I think the gaming is one of the spaces I'm the most interested in. Like I
yeah,
recently, and I've noticed there tends to be a trend, and I think kind of what you said sort of points to why that might be. But I've noticed like a lot of them almost seem like it's more about the smart contract first and the game second.
yep,
I started playing Townstar recently, and I was very impressed with the idea. I feel like it's a fun game first that just adds the crypto
yeah,
smart contract aspect on top of it. So like you could play Townstar and just not care about the Ethereum or the crypto mechanism of it, and
yep,
just have fun playing it. It's a pretty fun game. I
yeah,
think that's really interesting how that's evolving, but I really think it is the future
yeah.
of
I
gaming.
100% agree.
Mhm.
It's that moment where your game can have play to earn, right? Because that's what
Mhm.
makes DApp gaming, I guess you could call it. That's what makes it so interesting is the fact that you can play to earn. But the second that in your development, the only thing you're really paying attention to is your play to earn, your game's not going to be good. And we're seeing
Yeah.
that with a lot of games. I'm not going to drop any specific names. There's some
Mhm.
big games on the Ethereum blockchain that cost a lot of money to get into, a lot of money to get out of, and
Yep.
they're not fun games. They're just people play them because they know they can make a little bit of money. And there's parts of the
Yeah.
world where that little bit of money is a lot of
Yeah.
money.
Well, I'm not afraid to drop names. I'll say Axey Infinity is a good example of
I
that.
wasn't gonna say that
You
was the
know,
one.
I'll let you. I can say it. Like I don't have any skin in the game, I guess. But yeah, I mean,
That's
I looked into it because I was like, I heard a lot of people talking about how you could make money on this game. Like, well, that's pretty cool if you can make money on a game. And then
yeah,
I looked into it. And I'm like, wow, I'm into this thing for like $1,200 if I want to get started on it. And I've had people. It's funny. I've had people in the comments who are like, "Would you sponsor me?" Like, I'm like, man, I ain't gonna buy one. I don't even buy one for myself. I don't know if I'm gonna sponsor anybody, but there is this like ecosystem of people who apparently buy these critters and then have people in, like you were saying, like people in Puerto Rico or India, and then like they
yeah.
like farm it out like as so. I mean, I don't know.
I don't
Like,
like it. I don't like the idea of it because it's like I don't want to earn an enemy here, so I don't want to go into too
yeah,
specific
yeah,
things.
no,
But
that's
it
fair.
feels like you have a very wealthy person who's taking advantage of not so wealthy people in an
Right.
ecosystem that should be more about the other way around. Like it should be that the people who don't have access to large funds should have the ability to get on his level in the game, regardless of this guy spending X amount of dollars. I guess it goes
Mhm.
back to that old pay to win type of thing where
Yeah.
I don't think that Adapt should ever have a pay to win strategy that's implemented, which is something that Axie Infinity does aggressively. That
Yeah.
because of their marketplace, because of the way that it's all set up, the richest are going to win, and there's no way around it. Like you can't if you have your $1,200 team to get started will never beat a $15,000 team. Like you
That's a good
just
point.
it won't. And
Mhm.
you're not going to get around that until you invest a significant amount of money. And I don't think that I don't think the future of DApp gaming is going to be built around a structure where the less fortunate are kind of bowing down to the more fortunate. I don't think that's going to be the 5-10 year future for this.
Yeah, it kind of reminded me when I played Magic the Gathering in high school, and like all the rich kids they always won because their parents would buy them all the cards, and they're just buying them
Yeah,
packs after packs after packs, and like
yeah,
we'd scrape together whatever money we made working our part-time jobs to like buy a few packs here and there. We just never had the great cards.
Like, I have an original Black Lotus, and you're like, well, I have a goblin.
You're right, yeah. All right, fireball. Yeah, one game, the other game I was going to mention that actually is a pretty good game was the Gods Unchained.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was a pretty big fan of Hearthstone back a few years ago. So I kind of got into it, but then because of Ethereum's gas fees, like all like basically the smart contract stuff was shut down. And I don't know if that's still the case. Like maybe they've addressed that somehow, but at the time I thought, well, guys, if you had built this on something besides Ethereum, you might actually be able to be fully functional. And that was an interesting example in the opposite direction, where like the game was actually, it was a good game. Like they had people from Hearthstone, they had people from Magic the Gathering Online, so they had like a really great team, and they built a solid game. But then because it was on Ethereum, it just like it didn't none of the smart contract stuff could function because the fees are so high.
I think that's the other kind of, we're going pretty deep into that gaming, but that's kind of the other problem that a lot of these have, is that they either have developers who understand how to make a great game, or they have developers who understand dApps. And trying to get a team that has everything is so difficult right now, because with the cryptocurrency systems all being pretty fresh, if somebody has an incredible understanding of the different cryptos and the benefits of them, they're likely a pretty wealthy person that doesn't need to work. So your team's expenses, like getting these people to be interested in being on your team, they're very expensive developers.
Good point.
They use the example of having 80 people on a team. I unless I was making literally a giant MMO the size of World of Warcraft, I would never do that. But I could absolutely see the bare minimum being 10 to 15 people that are, if not full-time, near full-time, just working on a game to get it there. And each one of these employees, they're probably, I mean, the least you would pay them is probably 60 to 80 grand. So just for a year of development, you're talking about $1 million for these games. They take huge risks. I think that one of the biggest sad parts is what you just said, how all these great minds for gaming came together to make an incredible trading card game that should have done incredibly well. But because they chose Ethereum due to its popularity, the fees ate it up. I'm guessing that trading cards just became too expensive.
Yeah, but like there was like a feature where once you could upgrade your cards or meld them or something like that. I don't remember exactly now, but like you click on it and it say, oh, this feature is disabled due to the Ethereum gas fees, and you're like,
that sucks.
Like you couldn't go buy them and stuff. And like Splinterlands at least doesn't have that problem. You can buy cards however you want. They've had some issues with the changes they made to their ecosystem, but I kind of I was a little critical of them in my last video, but I also like acknowledge, like, I know that getting that economy and that balance right is tough. So, I understand. And he made a good point. He's like, this isn't really a game that you can play it for free. I mean, you can play it for free, but like, if you really expect to earn, you kind of have to put some skin in the game. I'm like, well, that's fair. I understand that. To an extent.
Yeah, exactly. To an extent. Like, I understand there's always going to be your pay to win games, but on the flip side of that, I don't think that there's going to be a game that takes over this entire ecosystem, wherever it's at. And I don't think that game, the one that gets the World of Warcraft size or whatever it is, I don't believe that game will ever have that pay to win in it. I think that somebody can come in at level 1, and sure, somebody who's been playing for a year is going to beat their ass, but I don't think that it's going to be because that person who's been playing for a year spent $10,000. I think that you're almost better off having, this goes way too deep into game design, but your pay to win needs to be focused more towards cosmetics, NFTs, things that you can show off, things like that. When you start talking about player versus player, or a system where players are earning next to each other, I just don't believe that your pay to earn should be affected by pay to win. And by making it so that these players are PvPing against each other, and it's really just who spent more money, you're not going to get that popular. Like, you're going to get people who are interested in making money, and that's about it. You're not going to get people invested for years straight that just want to play a video game. And I think that's probably the largest problem with DApp gaming at the moment, is that these developers are not focusing on a fun game, on a structure that allows for thousands of hours of gameplay and having fun. They just want to make a system that's really easy to understand and shows people they can make money. And as soon as somebody gets both of those things in place, I think that we'll start having a lot more chances at DApp gaming taking over the front side gaming world as well.
So maybe Akita Inu would be the one to do it. Maybe the game that you guys are going to work on, that'll be the one.
It's an exciting thought. I've joked about it with my programmer that, you know, eventually Akita's going to want to make a game, and he's just like, well, I'm here, so we're ready, you know.
I mean, one of the things I like is I feel like the games are getting simplified again, and I think that's a good thing. Like I don't know, I just haven't been interested in a modern video game system in a while. Like I have a PS3, that's the last system I have.
Yeah.
Like it just hasn't interested me. But some of these games, like these games that are being introduced now, like even Townstar, I think it's a fun game to play. And I like, you know, it's a cash flow management game. That's what's super fascinating to me.
Mhm.
Like I don't think there's a lot of games that are like that, where it's like the real like villain is like the cash flow. Like you have to keep your farm going and you can't really run out of money, so you have to like financially plan. It's like a financial planning game.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah.
Like I think that's super interesting. So I guess I just like the idea that, you know, I grew up in the NES days, so
Yeah.
those games to me are still like some of the best, and I just like
And they're
that.
simple.
Yeah, it was simple, and the focus was on the gameplay. It wasn't on like gee whiz graphics, you know, or anything
That's
like
exactly it, though. It doesn't matter how advanced the game gets. It's that the entire time you're building these systems, they need to be focused on the gameplay. As soon as they start focusing more on the profit or this or that,
that.
the game gets ruined. And one of the things that made those old games so good is that it wasn't teams of 80 building the game. It was 5 guys in a garage that
Right.
were trying to make something that they had fun playing. And I think that a lot of development teams have moved away from let's make something that we have fun playing to what's going to make us money. And once that switch happens on a team, it's very difficult to put a game together that is fun through the whole thing.
Yeah, someone else made a point recently about how the games just like there isn't really a lot of innovation in the console gaming space. It's more like just making a new version of the games you already, because they're safe and they know they'll make money. You know,
Yep.
they know the latest Call of Duty 27 or whatever will, you know, a bunch of people will go buy it and they'll make their money. And like I get it, like, you know, business has to make money, but you just like the NES days, there was just so much innovation, trying different things, and yeah, some of them fell flat, of course, but
yeah,
you had all these just different weird kind of games, and people just really tried to like figure out what they could do differently with this sort of limited graphic set, you know, and then people really stretched it and did awesome things.
Today's market for games, and I could talk about this way too much because I've been in it deep, right? But today's markets for games is completely dependent on what's going to make the most money and what's come out recently. You're going to just see this kind of get worse and worse over the next 5 or 10 years. It's going to turn more into what the movie industry is, where they really don't make original games. And in order to get an original game, we're really going to have to start looking towards indie developers. I think that Blizzard's just a perfect example of a game company that has every ability to produce original, groundbreaking products. Just they have every utility they need to make an incredibly impressive cinematic experience, and they just don't. Like they just want to make money, so they're going to keep remaking Diablo, they're going to keep remaking Warcraft, they're going to not give their Warcraft 3 modders rights to any of their maps, any of their game mechanics that they create. It's a company that's really only interested in milking its users at this point, and we're not going to see that change for the better, that I think. I just don't think it's going to happen. But the days of these smaller game companies being able to get a foot in the door is going to get harder and harder. I think that we're lucky that tools like Unity and stuff give such great ability for smaller indie teams to make impressive products. But the problem is, and something that my small team sees, is that for a team of 2 or 3, it will take us 2-3 years to make something that is genuinely a pretty basic game. Whereas somebody like Blizzard in 2 or 3 years could make a product that it's just astounding. It's just a shame we don't see him do that.
Yeah. Well, what kind of blew me away is so my brother-in-law last year got an Oculus Quest, and I tried it out for the first time, and I'm like, this is crazy. Like, why isn't this? I don't understand why it's not a bigger deal. Like that just seemed like I haven't felt this kind of like innovation.
Yeah.
Something, a different experience in so long, but it seems like, and then I remember I put it out on Twitter, and a bunch of people were like, yeah, I got one too. It's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm surprised that like no one seems to be talking about it that much. It just seems to be under the radar.
The VR is really hard to develop. And it's really hard to get it to feel right. I don't know how else to describe it. Like, just getting it to that point is a lot of your development. And then you have to make a video game. And the entire time you're making a video game, you have the problem of VR at every step. I think that Valve made Alex, which is they have full VR support. It's an FPS, probably a masterpiece of VR gaming. I don't know the exact budget. I know it was ridiculous. I think that you take that team of 80 that we talked about, right? Yeah. And it quickly becomes 120, 150 people that are all of a sudden on your project. The ability to make every detail, every aspect of the video game hand touched and personal becomes more and more difficult to every employee you have, because you have your creative directors that just get more and more stretched thin. I think that we do get a lot of VR games. I think that a lot of them are going to be very similar to each other, because at the end of the day, by the time you get past 20 or 30 employees, it takes a lot of guts for a company to put that much money into a game that's completely unique, that has not been tested. So over time, we will see more and more companies making more and more unique games for VR. But the first ones that are getting in, they know that Archer Man will sell. They know that this will sell. And so that's what we're going to see, because they know that will sell. I think that we will see probably an RPG or something pretty soon. That's a full VR, like the Alex game did. And once we see the FPS, which is Alex, an RPG, which I really haven't seen like a super impressive one, and then probably a more casual VR game that gets huge, like a Minecraft or something like that. Once those three, the trifecta, happen, VR gaming will just start taking off. But until we start to have those basic genres kind of filled in for, if I want to play this genre in VR, what do I go to? I don't think it'll become the massive thing that it's probably due to be.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, it's kind of sad how it all comes back to money, and like obviously I'm not anti-money, but it's like it's just too bad sometimes. Like,
yeah, and game development is fat stacks. It's just so much money.
Right, man. Well, hey man, this has been fun talking with you today. I probably could have taught gaming all day.
I'll just rant. Yeah,
I think it's really fascinating. Is there anything about Akita Inu that we didn't cover that you'd want to let folks know?
The biggest things I want to leak about, I can't. You know what I mean? We've got our 10 Dogs of Christmas that are going right now. That's our charity event that we've got going. And we've got our NFT collection that's going to be launching next month. We're thinking somewhere mid-month, between the 7th and the 14th. We don't know an exact date yet, because we're waiting on the people who are helping us set the system up to get done with their holiday stuff. So we got those two things. Top secret, I want to leak something for you, buddy, but I can't. All I'm going to say is that it probably has moved up a little bit. We're probably about 60 to 75 days away from top secret happening. So if anybody watched the whole video and heard me say that, they might be excited.
Oh, nice. Big secret coming.
Yeah.
You're going to give Frugal BC an exclusive on that when the time comes?
I already promised Crypto Nerd the top secret, but
damn that Crypto Nerd.
I'll keep you in mind, BC.
We'll Crypto Nerd.
We'll figure something out.
He was my second crypto talk, so
I had a lot of fun.
Chatted with them. Yeah, they're good folks.
Yeah, him and Lauren. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, they're cool folks. Okay. Well, maybe second exclusive or something.
We'll try to sneak something else out to you in the meantime.
Awesome. I appreciate that. Well, hey, thanks for having you on. It was awesome talking with you today. And guys, go out and check out. You can go if you got an Algorand wallet, you can go to Tiny Man and do a swap and get yourself some Akita Inu yourself. And big things coming from them. Super excited. And thanks everyone. We will see you in the future.